All right, let's jump right into a really important one. On January 16, 2026, the FAA dropped Airworthiness Directive 2026-01-04. This is a critical safety update for certain Boeing 787s, and it is absolutely mandatory. We're going to break down exactly what you need to know to stay compliant. So, let's get to it.
Okay, first things first. Pull out your calendar. February 20th, 2026. That is the effective date for this AD. And trust me, it's the anchor point for all of your planning. So why is this one date so critical? Well, the FAA is not mincing words about what's really at stake here.
And there it is, straight from the source. This isn't just some minor component issue. We're talking about a situation that could lead to losing your backup hydraulic and electrical power. And if that's not serious enough, the entire Ram Air Turbine module could literally just depart from the airplane. This quote alone tells you exactly why this AD is so incredibly urgent.
So, you've got to be asking, what in the world could cause something so drastic? Let's dig into the root cause and really understand the reason behind this mandate.
It all boils down to a problem in the supply chain. You see, the FAA was alerted by multiple supplier notices of escapement, which is basically a formal way of saying a supplier realized non-conforming parts had slipped through the cracks and got shipped. In this case, the parts were Ram Air Turbine forward fittings, and they might have been made with the completely wrong type of titanium alloy.
And here's the dangerous domino effect the FAA is trying to prevent. That material defect, the wrong titanium, means the part is weaker, and it's much more likely to crack under stress. That compromises the fitting's integrity, which could lead to a total structural failure, and that brings us right back to that critical outcome we just talked about, losing the rat and its backup power.
Okay, so we get the why. Now, let's switch gears and focus on the who. Let's nail down the exact scope of aircraft that are impacted by this airworthiness directive. So this directive is aimed squarely at certain Boeing 787-9 and 787-10 models. Now, listen up, because this is absolutely crucial for operators. The definitive, specific list of affected airplane serial numbers is spelled out in the Boeing Alert Requirements Bulletin. That document is referenced directly in the AD, and it is your single source of truth for figuring out if your aircraft is on the list.
All right, now we're getting to the heart of it for every maintenance and planning team out there. What exactly do you have to do to comply, and when does it need to be done? Let's walk through the path to compliance.
So this is a condition-based process, not a one-size-fits-all fix. First, you have to inspect the rat forward fitting to figure out what kind of alloy it's made of. Then, if and only if that inspection shows it's the wrong material, the fitting has to be replaced. And on top of that, if you happen to find any fastener hole cracking, a specific repair is also required.
Now, when it comes to that initial inspection, you've got some flexibility. The FAA has approved two different methods. You can either use a high-frequency eddy current, or HFEC inspection, or a handheld X-ray fluorescence, or XRF, spectrometer. The AD makes it really clear that using one means you don't have to do the other, which gives maintenance teams a choice depending on the gear they have on hand.
So when does all this need to happen? Well, while the Boeing Bulletin gives you the nitty-gritty on the intervals, every single timeline, every single clock starts ticking from that effective date, February 20th, 2026. That's the date that drives your entire maintenance plan for this AD.
Okay, let's move beyond the technical tasks. What does this AD actually mean for an airline in the real world? It's time to shift our focus to the operational, the financial, and, of course, the safety impact.
Let's talk dollars and cents. The initial inspection, well, the FAA estimates that's going to cost you about $255 per aircraft. That's basically the labor cost to find out if you even have a problem.
But, and this is a big but, what if you do have a problem? Well, that cost skyrockets. The FAA's on-condition estimate for a full replacement is over $30,000 per aircraft. A huge difference. Now, before you start crunching those big numbers, here's a really important financial note. The FAA document specifically points out that, according to Boeing, some or even all of these costs might be covered under warranty. This is a huge deal, and it's something operators need to look into right away to potentially ease that financial hit. So if we were to brief management on this, what are the key takeaways? Well, for starters, this AD is going to mean some aircraft downtime, no way around it. That means you need tight coordination between camo, planning, and maintenance. Second, those potential warranty claims need to be investigated immediately. And just to give you a sense of scale, this AD is estimated to affect 9 U.S.-registered aircraft, plus more around the globe.
All right, let's pull all this together into a clear, concise summary and talk about the immediate next steps for any operator that's affected. Think of this as your call to action. And really, it all boils down to one simple but incredibly important question for any team watching this right now. With that February 20th, 2026 effective date looming, is your compliance plan already in place and in motion?
So, to wrap it all up, the who is operators of specific Boeing 787-9s and 10s. The what is to inspect that rat forward fitting and then take action if needed. The when is all tied to that key effective date. And the number one action item, get your teams coordinated, and, I cannot say this enough, always refer to the official text of AD 2026-01-04 and the related Boeing bulletin. That is where you'll find the complete and authoritative instructions.
Subscribe to AEROPODA YouTube channel